Hi, everybody. I'm Kelly,
And I'm Joe.
and this is our very first episode. Just to let you know, sort of an introductory video to show you or to share with you who we are and how we got to this point in our lives.
Yeah, so we're going to be talking a lot about where we kind of came from as far as why we're going to do this and where we're going with this. We're going to be talking about something that's near and dear to my heart and something that has changed my life a lot. And that's this book by Joseph Murphy, The Power of the Subconscious Mind. We'll kind of get into that as well. But first, we'll start with Kelly explaining her story and how she wants this podcast to go.
Awesome. Thanks, hon. So, first things first, we just want to publicly thank our friends Ryan and Colette Rampton for the use of their studio here. It's just been such a blessing. And this is actually one of the reasons why we're doing this is because we meet so many freaking awesome people. Like they're just down to earth, high frequency, high vibe people. And so I guess let me start by saying my 3 bullet points. I like bullet point lists. But the first one was back in the 90s, I went to school for massage therapy and I loved it. Maybe not so much the massage therapy part, but the energy work part. And I was introduced to several different energy modalities, and these are healing modalities. And it was really awesome. And then this is just how life goes, right? You're in the woo woo world, right? And then I get called into the crazy world of public administration, which led into some politics. After years of that, it's brought me full circle back to the healing arts. And I think one of the reasons why we created High Vibe Tribe and this Frequency Factor podcast is because we wanted to highlight those people who are just full of life. They've overcome so many obstacles, but they didn't let it bring them down. They didn't stay victims. They became victors. And that's what we're after. We're after that victory story. We'll be interviewing everybody from the energy healing world to maybe some political figures, but we're not going to get entangled into the politics of things. So coming back to this healing art, I felt a call to do this. And sharing stories is healing. That comes from our culture, our Native American culture. By the way, I am from Zuni, New Mexico. I am half Zuni and half Cherokee. For reals, Cherokee. That's a joke. And so I'm just going to give Joe a chance to tell his story a little bit.
So I kind of started this journey probably right after law enforcement. I retired. We can go back. I started in the military right out of high school, got out of the military, got into law enforcement right after, stayed in, retired, and then kind of back and forth with stuff. Went through a severe injury, had to have major neck surgery, almost paralyzed. And that was kind of started my journey. Didn't really know it at the time, but I've always, strived to do better or do more stuff. And actually, when I first met Kelly, she talked me into doing some Spartan races, which I'd always wanted to do. I wind up going to do Spartan races probably about 9 months after my neck surgery. So I just had major neck surgery, a whole disc replaced, metal put in my neck, and 9 months later, I was running a Spartan race. So, I mean, anything's possible. But then I decided to go to barber school right after COVID, and just talking with people in the barber shop and cutting their hair. If we know history, barbers were actually doctors long before they did a lot of healing arts in itself. And then it got rid of the doctor part, and then they became just barbers. But it is therapeutic because you get to talk to people and they get to tell you their stories and confide in you their stories of what's going on. And it's kind of nice because they know it's like a therapy session. They get to come in, they get to kind of take the burden off of them, tell their story, what's going on in their life. And then you can kind of talk with them and it makes them feel better. And they get out of the chair looking better. So that in itself is therapeutic. And we just want to go and meet people where they're at, and we want to see their stories and get them. And the big thing, and we'll start getting into this book. So my beautiful wife here, Kelly, decided to tell me, hey, you should read this book. And I was a little skeptical because, I'm a police officer and I'm evidence-based. You have
Just
to
the
show me
facts.
just the facts, man, just the facts. And so when I started reading this book, and I've probably read it around 17 times, it's such a powerful book. I mean, it goes into how you can use your subconscious to heal yourself. You can use your subconscious to manifest the things you want, to travel, to do all those things. And it's just been amazing because we've been able to go to barber school. One of my goals, and I used the power of the subconscious mind to do it, was to own a barbershop, which I did own a barbershop. So these are the small things that just are there. And then I'll let Kelly talk a little bit about how her experience with the book and how we love to travel. We also manifested a van. We were able to get a van and be able to travel with this camper van, go to places that we wanted to see, including our honeymoon.
Thank you. It's always so nice to hear you just tell the story. I think that's one of the things that I admire about you is the fact that while you're evidence based, you're also very open to new things. One of the things that I introduced him to was a vision board. And I think there's only
One thing that's not on it.
Yeah.
So I put on my vision board a barbershop, a house, a marriage to her, and then a barber chair and a Rolex watch. And I got a marriage. We got married. We got a house. I got my barber chair and my barber shop. The only thing I didn't have yet, but it's still on there, is my Rolex. And that'll come. I know it'll come because it's on my list. But it's just amazing to be able to look at something visually and visualize it and know that with your subconscious, anything is possible. And it just comes.
Absolutely. This book has been in my personal library for years. But as we do this, we encourage you to read the books that we'll be talking about as well, because the next book that we're going to share in between the interviews is The Magic of Thinking Big. And my favorite chapters in this book are the first two. And I actually do presentations and workshops on those two chapters. But this company that we formed is called High Vibe Tribe. So it's kind of three-pronged. We obviously do the Frequency Factor podcast. We also have workshops that I do via Zoom on energy work, on frequency, on raising your frequency, what is frequency, and all that good stuff. And I also go out and do presentations as well. So if y'all need a speaker,
Very good
um,
public speaker.
call. I just really love connecting with people and really showing them that there is a way to heal some of the trauma in their lives, because one of the biggest things in learning about the energy work is that we carry even the trauma of our ancestors through our DNA, and we can clear that. And it's not impossible. The other message that I really want to get through to everybody is very near and dear to my heart, and that is your past doesn't define who you can become. And that is huge to me because growing up on the reservation, it literally can be like crabs in a bucket. If somebody really wants to improve themselves and make their lives better, or even get a new car or new clothes or anything like that, someone else always has something to say. And I thought that was something very exclusive to the reservation. It's not. That's just my experience, but it's everywhere because we're simply human beings. Hey, do you want to add anything to that so far?
I do want to say, kind of on this manifesting thing, is both of us were not looking for anybody at the time. And it's what happens when, you're sitting there not looking, and all of a sudden, I was teaching JRTC at the time, And I get a notice that, hey, we need a flag presented and for the color guard at the speaking event. And the keynote speaker just happened to be my beautiful wife here, who I had never met, didn't know who she was. And I showed up at this speaking event and my kids didn't show up. So here I am stuck.
His JROTC kid.
Yeah, they didn't show up to be able to put the flags up. And so here I am calling my coworker saying, hey, could you bring the flags? The kids didn't show up. And so he brought the flags. We went and posted them. And I was going to leave because I was embarrassed. And so I look over and I see her standing talking with a mutual friend of ours. And I was like, oh, she's a keynote speaker. I think I'm going to have to stay here to listen to her talk. She gave a phenomenal presentation, and it was literally love at first sight and first hear. The minute I heard her speaking, I just knew she was my type of person and I needed to get to know her. So I kind of stayed back and lingered and acted like I was there to stay to help to put up chairs just so I could get to talk to her. And the rest is history. We've been together and pretty much inseparable since.
Mhm. You make me cry. This isn't supposed to be so we can cry. Yes, I love that story. I love when he tells it because sometimes we don't realize our own value until somebody who sees it in us kind of brings that out in us. And so I just hope that I do the same for you.
Absolutely.
Okay. There's no tissue in here. But yeah. So what's coming up? What next? The next 3 or 4 episodes are going to feature some people that we met. We went to the Look Across the Mountain Educational Conference in February, and I presented there as well. And we met some phenomenal people and some people that are doing some amazing projects as well. So that'll be the conference episode. And thereafter, we're going to be interviewing people that are making headway, that are healing, that are making strides in all the things like education, like healing, like art. Oh my goodness. We met an amazing artist. And you'll get to see that. And we also met another lady who is doing a project with housing, and her story is amazing. And we can't wait to share that with you. And we also spoke with Christine Becker and Roger Basin, her brother, on the projects that they're doing. And let's see. Oh, Miss Indian World, Tori McConnell. So we're super excited about it. And we hope that you'll join us on this journey. Um, we did sell our van. That was probably the saddest day, but we had goals. We had goals, man. We were like, we're going to sell the van because my sweetheart had the barbershop on his vision board and we had an opportunity. And, I think that's one of the things that I've learned is that things come and things go. And I used to think when you have something, you hang on to it and you don't let it go and this, that, and the other. And no, that's what it's there for. They're just things, right? And we send that energy out there and we come back. And so I don't want to get into a workshop right this minute. So we're going to be traveling a lot, and I'm super excited about this. We want to share those travels with you. And anything else?
We just hope you join us on this journey and you'll be meeting amazing people throughout our journey of interviewing people. And it's going to be mostly Kelly interviewing them. She does a phenomenal job interviewing. I'm sure there'll be some times that I'll interview some individuals as well, because we want to interview people that are on a high frequency, that are striving to be better. Because on a regular basis, we're always pushing ourselves to be better and to be the best that we can be. And those are the like-minded people that we want to meet. So stay tuned.
Yeah. Well, you know what? We might give them a little bit of a sneak peek into the content
Yeah.
that we like. So do you mind if I
Well, yeah,
ask you some
sure.
questions? Everybody has a story. So, one of the first things that I do is I ask people, what is your story? So, you kind of heard Joe's story today. Not a lot because he has had many an adventure, right? But the next thing that I like to ask people is, what inspires you?
My inspiration comes from just making myself a better person. What inspires me is learning,
Oh,
and that's what drew me to you is because you're always teaching me something new. And I had put some pictures on Facebook of me in Afghanistan, and somebody said, "How many lives have you lived?" And there's a lot of lives. As long as I can continue to learn and continue to make myself better, I'm going to continue to push myself forward. So anytime I can learn something new, read something new, make myself a better person, that's what inspires me.
thank you. Thank you for sharing that. The next question that I love to ask is, what kind of legacy would you like to leave?
I'd like to leave a legacy for generations to come to know that you're not what people tell you you are. You are who you make yourself out to be. And the reason I say that is because I share a story from when I was a kid growing up in my hometown. And I had some teachers that would constantly, because my dad was my dad and he was kind of, you know, um, caused some problems in school and here and there. So the teachers obviously threw that on me. And my dad was an alcoholic. And I was told at a young age, even through high school, that I was going to be nothing but a drunk mechanic when I grew up. Little did they know I'd be a coffeeaholic and not an alcoholic. But, I use those words to push me to be better than what people say you're going to be. Because you don't have to be put in a box and say, this is what you are because I say that's who you are. And we can't let ourselves do that. And so I want to leave a legacy that for people to know that you're not put in a box. You can break out of that box and be who you want to be. And that's the legacy I want people to know is that you can be what you want to be. And no matter what people say, you can absolutely do anything that you put your mind to. And that's a fact.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thanks. A little bit about what inspires me is other people like yourselves out there. In fact, some of you may have overcome alcohol or drugs or anything, depression. I mean, you name it. There's a million things that
Multitudes. Yeah.
yeah, that we can overcome, right? And when a person overcomes something, they've been through the ringer. Don't feel worthy sometimes until they start to understand that in order to be successful in life or just to make it, they have to have a degree of forgiveness. Well, they need to learn to forgive themselves and really to learn to love yourself. And that's a journey that I'm on right now. So your stories inspire me. And the legacy that I'd like to leave is this podcast and all of these stories compiled and sort of chronicles for people to really learn that you can overcome anything. And through the stories of other people, we're going to be able to really share that with you. So I hope you'll stick with us. I hope that you'll come on this journey with us. And for that, we're super, super grateful. Anyhow, thank you, everybody. Appreciate the time that you just take to watch. So